Hey, how's it going? This is Chris Williams, REI. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing my friend, Stratton Brown, who's not just a competitor in my market, but he's also my neighbor as we're here in the hub at Fresno. And if you're not familiar with the hub, if you follow the other YouTuber, Michael Zuber, he actually owns this building. He's opened it up to other investors like myself and like Stratton here in Fresno. Stratton, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you.
Good. Really appreciate you coming on today. One thing that I really wanted to talk about today, just knowing who you are, what you do, knowing that you've grown your business with VAs, I think that can be very powerful for people who are listening or who are watching. And I would just love to, first of all, hear your story, where you came from, how you got into real estate, why you got into real estate. I mean, really what brought you here today.
So I came from a small town in Utah called Bluffdale, Utah. Mm-hmm. Both my parents were entrepreneurs growing up, and so it wasn't anything crazy. I just thought, like, you worked for yourself. Because, like, in the community I grew up in, my best friend's dad was a plumber, and, like everyone, it's like trade. Everyone had trades. The guy behind us was a contractor. Everyone all went to church, and they all had their own trades, all went and did stuff. And so that wasn't anything, like, new to me. I was like, oh, yeah, this is what we do. And then I think it really clicked out when I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was in college. And I wanted to beat up my defensive coordinator, right? But he was my boss.
Yeah.
And he would talk to me crazy, and he'd treat me bad, and he'd treat everybody bad. And I was like, man, I don't want to have a boss again. Like, that sucks. Like, this dude can talk to me crazy. He controls my life. He controlled my financial outcome, right? Let's say if he doesn't like me, he can tell the NFL scouts to come and talk about me.
Oh, yeah.
Bad things about me. He cannot put me on the field. And, like, he can do all these things that control my financial future. Mm-hmm. I didn't ever want that, ever again. And so that's what made me really want to become an entrepreneur.
So really that realization that as long as you're under somebody else's organization, your whole life depends on what they decide, right?
Yeah, like
or
how
even
they
how
feel.
they see you. Yeah, that's crazy.
And
So
I can't be authentic, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're working for a company. I'm vulgar, right? I got to do a lot of different things, but like if I have to represent a certain company and that's not what their vision is, then I can't be myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I almost wore one of my favorite Fresno State shirts in honor of you today, but decided not to. Yeah, I remember you playing. My in-laws have season tickets, so I used to go to almost every game, Saturday games and Friday games, and I'll remember you out there. Yeah. So
hell yeah.
But why real estate? Like I see that obviously you had some sort of entrepreneur desire. You want to go out on your own, but why real estate?
So I thought I was going to the NFL.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna make fuck tons of money. And so I'm like, man, you're going to go broke. I hear about all these stories about dudes just partying their asses off, and then they go broke. And so I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm going to go in the NFL, you party pretty hard, Strat. So you better learn how to invest your money so you don't go broke. So my parents taught us Dave Ramsey growing up, right? Like, avoid debt. But I read Dave Ramsey, I read Robert Kiyosaki, I hop on Bigger Pockets, and I'm all over Grant Cardone. So I'm taking in just all this stuff thinking I'm going to be a millionaire. I go to the Seahawks for a tryout. They're like, hey, bro, you suck. Like, you don't got it like that. I come home, and I'm still going to meetups. And I don't know if you know Jerry Orlowski. I was going to his a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was going to Don Costa and Justin's. Mm-hmm. And I met a dude named Alan there. And he was like, oh, yeah. He's just, a short, buff guy. He's like, oh, yeah, this is what I do. What is it? 3 years ago, I was driving a truck for $18,000 a year.
Tractor, right?
Yeah, driving the tractor for like $18,000 a year. Now I make several six figures a month. Yeah. And then he was like, there's other people who post on social media that they do this. He's like, here's some checks. And he like shows me like photos of like what he's doing. Like, no, this is like actually what I do. And so I'm just talking to him like, oh yeah, cool, bro. And then I started a home inspection business because they're like, oh, you have the opportunity to make $100,000. It's like, oh, that's going to be life-changing money. I'm going to be filthy rich. And I do all that. I do one mock inspection, and I'm like, this shit sucks. I'm going through, like, the crawl space.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, I can't do this. So I give Alan a call. I'm like, hey, what the hell do you do? He was like, well, go do this. So he tells me to go get Property Radar. I go get Property Radar. He's like, go knock on every single NOD, and then don't come back until, like you have someone just, like, interested. So I did that for 3 months.
Wow. Anything become of it?
I got a deal. I think this is the saddest seller situation I've ever seen. His name was Ray. It was up in Clovis, and he had to quit his entire job because his wife got such bad dementia that she was bedridden.
Oh, wow.
So he had to take care of her the whole time. And so that was my first door knocking deal, I closed on a different deal with Alan through cold calling and just driving around. And it was a little dinky house like a couple blocks away that I actually sold to Jason, who was just here.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into real estate. I ended up working with Alan. I ended up handling a lot of his marketing. At a point, we built like a little in-house call center that I ran. And then we had some office staff that I was in charge of.
Wow. So how long did you work with Alan?
I think it was like a year and a half. And then I broke off on my own.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about that moment. Why did you decide to break off on your own?
Because we were doing some fat assignment fees, and I had an agreement with him that I was only making a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I'm going to leave. I'm going to make all the money. I'm like, man, I can do this. And then I go broke for 6 months.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
and so, I mean, I told him at the beginning, like, Alan, I want to do my own thing. Like, Alan, I want to be you. I don't want to work for you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be you. I want to have the financial freedom. I want to have all the nice stuff. Like, that's what I want from my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to work for you. And so that's just kind of how it started. And, like, so he knew I was eventually going to leave. It happened a little bit sooner than we anticipated, but there was just things going on in the company to where the company was revving down. There was some other things happening, so it was like a good opportunity for me to go on my own path.
Wow. Okay. And how long ago was that?
2019.
2019.
Beginning of 2019 is like when I did a deal. And again, I sold it to Pritchard for like $5,000. That was a little tear down house.
Yeah.
And then Pritchard bought it for me, and I was dead broke. By the grace of God, he bought it from me, and he was like, "Yeah." He told me he'd buy it. He shows up, and he's like, "Oh my God, Strat, what did you just get me into?" Because this is off of Fountain Way, and it's like coming down.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Is that like 924?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like not. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know. Then the owner lived right next door, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one.
I almost had that one.
I talked to her forever, right? And so I started talking to her before I even started working for Alan. And so I just kept talking to her. And then she's like, okay, yeah, I'll sell it. I sent it to Pritchard. And Pritchard's like, yeah, I'll take it. And then it gets there. It's like, oh, my God, Stratton. Like, what have you done? Like, so now he's like, well, I told you I'm going to buy it. So I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Pritchard ends up buying it and then just throwing it right back on the market just to get off his books.
Oh, I remember that. You know, I worked with that lady for probably 3 years. She was ready to sign the contract maybe 5 or 6 different times. Like, she's ready to sign. I send it to her or meet with her. Don't hear from her for like 3 days. Call her. Oh, I'm having second thoughts. You know, it's like there's this huge emotional attachment.
Oh, yeah.
And then, well, maybe she can get more, maybe not. And back and forth. And then I think the last time I had talked to her, like, she was ready to sign. Like, she called me out of the blue.
Yep.
Like, hey, I'm tired of having this house. I remember your offer. I'll take it. Just send me the contract. Sent the contract. Tried to meet up with her. Couldn't get a hold of her. Boom. She signed with somebody else, which was obviously you, right? And I remember that. And I remember seeing it back on the MLS.
Dude.
You know? But that's awesome. I'm glad it was you. And Jason. Jason's a great guy, too.
But that's real estate.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
You have to, for people getting into real estate, you have to make it an event to get that damn contract signed. And, like, it sounds like you did. Yeah. But, like, when you're going to get that contract signed, you let them know the outcome of me coming here is to get said contract signed.
Oh,
but then you're going to run into people like that who can't make a decision for the life of them.
Yeah.
And somehow I was there before you, and then, bam, I just lost an $80,000 deal to Michael.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing. To where, like, we've been following up with her forever.
Mm-hmm.
Great rapport. And then somehow Michael gets it because his dude called her, and then Michael calls and locks it up one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same situation.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people I've built amazing rapport with. They are yes. Can't get them to the signing table, and then all of a sudden someone else comes along and gets it right then and there. So sometimes it's just that timing, right? That every motivation factor lines up, but it's just that timing of, like, now's the perfect time. Now they're going to sign, no matter who's in front of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you could build rapport as much as you want. I mean, this lady, I remember calling her almost weekly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, having long conversations with her about life, about everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, just timing.
But remember, sellers don't care about you. They really don't. Like, they care about themselves.
True.
Like, you're there to solve their problems. They don't really care about you if someone can bring along a better solution. It's very, very hard. People talk about, oh, well, this guy sold to me and they had a $50,000 higher offer. But that very few and far between is going to happen.
Yeah. It does happen.
Right, it does happen, but, man, it's tough.
It is.
It's tough.
It is. Yeah. So when was that point in your business where you decided that you needed to scale, start hiring, do more marketing, or whatever got you to the point of then bringing on VAs?
I went to a Steve Train conference. I've always used VAs because like me and Alan used a VA, so I got like I knew what they could do and how cheap they were. So when I was dead broke, I was donating blood to pay VAs.
Oh wow,
Like donating plasma to pay VAs to keep that going while I was still doing other things.
that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
So like we could keep things going, and like I was doing that to pay my texter at that time. But I went to a Steve Train conference, and I always knew like I wanted to like scale up as fast as possible. I went to a Steve conference, and they had a event. I mean, and they had amazing systems. So I took that, and then when it really clicked for me of like how like big it is I went to a Rafael Vargas conference.
Okay.
And the way his stuff was set up was insane, bro.
Yeah.
It was corporate. I'd never seen anything like it. To where like their systems were dialed in, their KPIs were dialed in, they had a sales floor, they had this, that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like you need to step your shit up. He's
Yeah.
he's like 2 years older than me. Like that's all. And so that's when I was really like, okay, it's time to really start throwing down.
Wow.
And then COVID hit.
And then COVID hit. Yeah. Wow. So speaking of that, obviously the whole world has been hit by that over the last year. So how have you made adjustments with that?
I mean, when it hit, I was going through call centers. It's what made me start my call center.
Wow.
I got screwed over by a guy who I met at a Steve Trang event.
Okay.
He took me for $6,000, like $6,000 out the gate, and I'll explain that later. And then I found a different company to where I was at 4 cold callers, and I was like, I want 8. And so I go to 8, and the next 4 they gave me were just like not quality. And so at that point, COVID had hit, and I fired all my cold callers.
Wow.
Because I was like, well, the quality is not there. COVID just hit. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that slowed down everything, right? And then I build out the call center from there, and I still have leads coming in, but like you don't have the 8 callers going. The time and effort to get those people trained up and ready to go and ready and rolling for like one person when you don't have like a staff dedicated to it was a lot.
Yes.
So it slowed down my business for sure.
Wow. So in that time is when you started your company called Magicians.
Yeah.
Magicians. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So how many VAs are you running right now?
We are in the mid-50s. We may be at 60 today.
Gosh. So you have a lot of clients who are other investors like yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so how many are dedicated to just you?
So I have like 2 callers dedicated to just me, but now we onboard so many people.
Yeah.
That I pay for the data to onboard the people. So like while they're training, they call my data. And so we just get leads. And that's how I set it up.
Dude, that's awesome. That
takes away a lot of the overhead.
Yeah, for sure. I've noticed a lot of other investors in our industry. They get to that point, right, where they've dialed in their systems, they figured out what works for them, and then they just look at it and they're like, well, I could just duplicate this for someone else.
Right.
Is that what you did, or were you always wanting to build a call center?
No, if you would have talked to me at this point in time last year, I would have never been. Yeah, I'm building a call center, man.
Yeah.
Like it. I think I was like, I may do a VA thing. But it's because so many people hit me up for VAs.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Stratton, you know how to do this? Like, will you do it for me? Will you do it for me? Will you do it for me? And then I told a friend I was doing it, and he sent us our first client.
Wow.
And it was just a guy he knew.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still with us.
Wow.
And then, obviously, like, people in the Valley came to us, and then we're nationwide now. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. So are your VAs, are they making offers over the phone, or are they just teeing up leads for you?
No, just teeing up, right? We have leads managers that we train people on how to like fill it out, but just for a cold caller, no, I don't think they should ever really throw out numbers.
Yeah.
Because they could look at something on Zillow and say the wrong thing, and then you've kind of botched that lead forever. And you ruin that experience for every other investor because they're like, well, some dumbass over the phone told me I'd get $300,000 for my house.
Yeah.
And then we all call them. It's like, well, I had an offer for $300,000, and that like is stuck.
Oh yeah.
In their head.
Yep.
You know,
people
exactly
start spending money in their mind before they even have an offer or anything like that. Yeah, I have some friends that run their own call centers basically, and they just shoot out like 60% of Zestimate.
You were telling me that. That was intense.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's probably volume.
It is. That's a ton of volume.
Yeah.
Like with my own people, of just saying like, okay, 6% of Zillow, and just everybody.
Yeah.
Just give it to him. I could have my leads manager do that because he makes about 100 calls a day, in our CRM of just leads.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just test it out. I mean, maybe not even making that offer, but just saying, well, it looks like investors are paying around X.
What did I learned from my friend? Your home qualifies for this, or your property qualifies for this.
Okay.
And so that works so well, and I think he got this from Tiffany and Josh High, because you try and qualify for so much growing up, right? Like you qualify for a home, you qualify for a car, you qualify for this college, right? And so it's not something you try and push back on.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you qualify for. Like, this is what you can get. And it's a little bit less pushback.
That's good. That's good. So I know a lot of people have frustrations with, like, VA attrition.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, where do you find good VAs, and how do you train them? How do you keep them?
Bonus structures and great company culture is number one. Where do we find them? We find them everywhere, the same place everyone else does, right? But we put a lot more time and money into them to get them trained up. And then, like, we have competitive games all day. We send them gifts for weddings, funerals, birthdays. They get care packages if they've been with us a certain amount of time, right? And then there's one thing that I'm working on now is that there's a clear way to move up in our company.
Sure. Wow. So is that just your VAs for your wholesaling company, or is that Call Magicians as a whole, like all of your VAs?
That's for Call Magicians as a whole. But now, like, the VAs in my company, like, technically work for Call Magicians, and so they get treated the same way.
Okay.
But you're going to run through so much. For a while at the beginning, our attrition rate was so high. I remember being furious and, like, just hemorrhaging money on HR costs of hiring and firing and hiring and firing. So we're at a point now, and I got this from another one of my friends, to where if you don't make it through our training process, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
Like, just flat out. Like, if you come in like you're a job hopper, you won't get paid. And then you still got to make it through the first month of actually working with us if you want to get paid.
Wow. So it's like an internship in the beginning and then employment?
Like, I want to pay them, but then, like, we have people who come in and then we set up this whole thing, waste money on HR, waste money on training, and then they just dip. Yeah. And, like, they're gone. Like, no one's ever going to hear from them again.
Wow.
And they just took our check and they job hopped because there's another gig where they could get some money. To where I look for people who need a job. Like, I don't want to hire college students.
Sure.
I don't want to hire kids. I don't want to hire any type of teenager, nothing. I want someone who has a family, they have mouths to feed, and they know, like, they're about their mony.
Yep. They've got that rent. They've got that food.
Right.
They've got, for sure.
They have all this other shit that's piling up that they need to make money for. And then that way there's even more of a drive to where if I have a 19-year-old who lives with his parents, he's like, well, this is hard. This guy's told me to fuck off. I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's a lot different to when you got 2 kids at home and you get to stay home and be with your kids and still work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So where do you focus on as far as region? Is it Philippines, all over the world?
We go Egypt and South America, mainly.
Wow.
Is the big place. South America has a little bit higher of an attrition rate. But, yeah, I love older people, single parents. Parent. Like, because it's the perfect opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
I was with my son an insane amount, and me being able to take my son, I dropped out of college because Alan was like, yeah, bro, bring your son to work. I couldn't take my son to school. Yeah. But I could take my son to work. So now I get to work with my kid all the time, and and I still get to make money.
For sure.
100%. So, like, I understand where they're coming from to where it makes 100% sense.
Yeah. I like that, South America, because I think most people use either Philippines and sometimes India. But I see, us being in Central California, we're like 65% Hispanic. Yeah. So everyone's used to hearing Central and South American accents.
Well, so what I tell people is that, like, if you're in the South, don't do the Philippines. Yeah. Because, like, we're close. We have Asians in our proximity. So, again, we're used to the accent. Yeah. Like, it's not something uncommon to where over there, like, there's not a lot of them. They just hang up the phone. They think it's telemarketer. Yeah. So that's what we do. For California, when people say they want Hispanic people, the number one question I ask them is like, well, do you have someone who can close in Spanish? Oh, yeah. If they tell me no, then like, okay, you don't want them then. You're just going to pay us more for what? You have no way to monetize said lead.
Mm-hmm. Going back to your own business, really thinking about the changes that you made because of the pandemic. I mean, are you still strictly wholesaling? Are you looking at leads through different lenses? What are you doing right now?
Wholesaling. I mean, if a flip comes my way, I guess I could flip it, but flipping's never been something I'm interested in. And then creative finance and owner finance. Yeah. So, what is it? I went and looked at 9 units the other day, owner financed. We bought 3 rentals last year, sub 2, and then I at least put my name out there that I like owner finance stuff, and so stuff comes to me. Mm-hmm. and then we still pitch the terms to sellers.
Yeah. Got it. That's good. So you're still wholesaling too?
Yeah.
Here and there?
Here and there.
Dude, you got to send me deals, man. I'll
Right.
buy.
I mean, I send to the people in the Bay Area to where...
Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah. There's a lot of people who will pay more than me. So,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we're investors, man, and for some reason they want to pay us a market value for a house that I don't think is worth that much, but they're okay with it. So
True.
I got a family to feed, bud.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, I feel the same way. You know, people hit me up. I'm like, you're not going to pay as much as what...
Right, you're not going to pay as much as the people I know who are going to pay me more, and that extra 5-10 grand is a lot of money if you add that on to 20 deals throughout the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a lot of deals with people from the Bay Area. And what they normally are is their tech. Or, right, they're in tech, right? They're managers. I mean, there's I don't want to mention the names, but there's some very big tech companies where I've been able to somehow get connected with a manager there or something. I mean, and they buy way higher.
But they have a cash problem.
Yeah.
Like, they have a legitimate cash problem. Like, I need to put this somewhere. It's not holding value in my bank account.
Oh, yeah.
They have no faith in other things. And so that's the buyers you want, right?
Yeah.
That's like what Keegley teaches.
Yeah.
You need to go out and find those people because they're going to pay you the most.
Absolutely. When do you think, or what do you think is a good time in someone's business for them to decide to start hiring, or at least looking at hiring?
I think like immediately. To an extent. We have people who come to us at Call Magicians who say, you know what, I want to hire on VAs and they haven't even done a deal yet.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you should do that at all.
No.
Like, you need to know why you need to bitch me out for our company not doing our job. That's what I tell people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you need to know why the VA is messing up, and you need to know how to handle those leads. Let's say I can generate you 100 leads tomorrow. You just wasted all of your money because you're going to be flustered on the phone.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, once you're comfortable and, like, you're into the sales and you've done that, then let's start to hire on VAs. But if you just hire on a VA, and I've done this, to where I hired on a VA and I didn't train them or anything, and they said they're experienced, and then I didn't listen to any of their calls, and then it's 2 weeks pass by, I'm like, hey, where the hell are my leads?
Yeah.
That's not their fault. That's mine.
Yeah.
I didn't train them. I didn't know what to train them on, this and that. So that's what I'd say once you're, confidence is the biggest thing, right? Once you, like, do your first deal, and at that point, you'll have talked to enough leads to at least know how to navigate those conversations. Then start to do it. If you have a sales background and you're confident, okay, cool, and you know you can buy houses,
For sure.
cool. But for most people, I tell you, like, go out and cold call yourself. Know how those conversations need to go before you go and hire on someone and tell them how to do a job you don't understand.
Oh, I agree. 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, you can't, if you don't know what you're doing, there's really no checks and balances. You're just trusting somebody.
You're just trusting someone.
I mean, but you don't know if they suck or not, right? Because you know.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah. Okay. So if somebody's looking at bringing on their own VA, what kind of tips would you give them for training and keeping them accountable?
So the first one I'll give you as far as, like, attrition, because that is the thing.
Yeah.
Again, you want older people. I don't ever hire teenagers. Nothing. And I learned this before I'd even started Call Magicians. Like, I want someone who's reliable, and they need the money to keep their life going. Like, they actually want a job to where they don't live at home.
Sure.
And then what was the whole question? So
how do they train?
How do they train? Trainual is a good one.
Trainual?
Yeah, Trainual, but it's like $100. We use that now. I would tell you, training them, a lot of role play.
Okay.
So I'd be, like, on the phone with them, and then I would listen to all their phone calls and just take notes. I'm like, hey, here, here, and here.
Yeah.
I would do this, here, here, and here. I would say this, here, here, and here. I would say this.
Mm-hmm.
And then do a role play on it, and then make sure they've mastered that, and then take the next step forward. But it's a lot of effort, man, to, like, develop these people to know how. Because if you're going to find a VA who says they're experienced in real estate, they will have bad habits.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right, they're going to have some bad habits that have been ingrained into them. So we need to be able to listen to them and coach them up the right way to make sure everything's coming across as quality.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, there's one thing that we say in church leadership, and it's that you inspect what you expect, right? And so I think it's very key to go back and start listening to people. And, you know, I know times when I have had answer services or cold callers or VAs going back and listening to messages or listening to calls and then hearing things, right? Like, I mean, even though I am an agent, right? The company that I advertise is not, right? My home buying
Exactly.
company is just that. So hearing somebody say, oh, well, we're agents out of here and all that, then I have to go back and say, no,
Right?
we're not.
No,
We're not.
no.
My company is not, because I can't disclose what I'm not, right? Because then all of a sudden that brings up a whole other bunch of disclosures. But even on the training side, right, you want to make sure people aren't throwing out random numbers or
That's the
giving out
thing.
his estimate and, your house is worth $300,000. But if you want to buy it for $150,000, you don't want them to throw out those numbers.
And they may have been trained like that at their old company, and if you don't like listen in on the calls and correct them on those things, they'll keep doing that.
Yeah.
And you won't know what's going on. Like, man, like, why aren't we making any money?
Yeah.
Like, why don't I have any leads?
For sure.
And that's for what else would be a good one for training? Role play, but just you got to develop them so much, man. Like the listening in on those phone calls is huge.
For sure. So do you have like team huddles? You or you go over calls and kind of dissect calls with people?
So I don't do any of this anymore, but so you'll listen to the calls and then we'll do role plays. I do role plays with my leads manager.
Yeah.
And so I'll listen to a call. I'll listen to one of his calls and I'll just take notes. Like, hey, Mark, instead of when you said this, just say this. When you said this, say this. When you said this, say this. Good. And then we have a group leads manager training where they do a bunch of different role plays and different situations. Okay. Like, hey, I got this objection the other day. How would you guys handle this? And then we got like 14 people in there who are leads managers for our company. So that's a lot of different input from different areas who have all been coached up the right way.
Yeah.
Who will help them develop, like, oh, well, yeah, you said it that way. You're probably going to get kicked in the face. I would probably say it this way.
Yeah.
And it's going to go much better.
Yeah. So your leads managers, are those out of the country as well?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Everything's out of the country. I mean, we're in California, man. We can't 1099 anybody anymore.
Yeah, in 2018, after I joined the mastermind, I scaled up. I mean, and I had a full-time staff. And let me tell you, I probably don't ever want a full-time staff again here in California. It's expensive.
It's expensive. I have one friend who has a general contracting company on top of his flipping business, and he got sued for a large lump sum for some nonsense over like a lunch break.
Yeah.
Right? And I've known other people to where you will lose in any 1099 lawsuit ever.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not worth it to me, right?
Yeah, so I'm totally not closed off to having employees again. I mean, even here, in California. But I think when it comes time that I want to scale and grow, definitely looking overseas. Definitely calling you first and see, what you guys can do.
Overseas is the way. I have friends who have VAs who are like closing deals, and that's where I'm taking my leads manager eventually, is know how to close the deals, because I don't want to deal with people, man.
Yeah.
Right? And if we have a virtual office and the money they make, they're extremely happy with, and I can change their life with the amount of income they can make with our company. Right? I can really, really change their life to where they're living good. That's much better for me and for them.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Just you don't want to deal with people. I think something that I kind of have a little saying is hood problems come with hood properties
come with freaking hood problems.
Hood properties come with hood problems. Yes. Totally. My gosh. I mean, it's, I think I was watching an interview last night, and they were saying, they have like a 40 or 50% fallout rate, right? You get 10 contracts, 4 or 5 of them fall out. And it's normally because of problems, right? I mean, if somebody is in a position where they need to sell quickly, they need to sell cash, and they're selling at a big discount, chances are the rest of their life is probably pretty messed up, right? The finances, back taxes, liens, all that. I mean, it's crazy, I think on the real estate agent side, very few fall through, right, when you're dealing with regular middle-class people with middle-class income and all that. But I mean, on the wholesale side, when you're talking hood properties, they come with problems. And,
right.
And I don't blame you for not wanting to go out there and deal with those. I kind of feel the same way.
I want to deal with landlords who are experienced. Like, you know what? I want an easy transaction.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, I'll take this. Like, all right, I'll do this. All right, cool. All right, we'll take it to the title company. Let's do this.
Dude, I love deals like that. I mean, I maybe get a handful a year or something like that. A lot of people talk about, like, if you take the first offer, you're losing, or if you give the first number, you're losing, or you're only looking for, like, highly, highly motivated people, which I agree with that. But there are those deals, same thing, retired landlord, doesn't want to deal with it, not in financial distress, not in property distress, not in tenant distress. He's just done with it, right? I just want $75,000. If you can't give that to me, I'll move on to the next guy, right? Look it up, and it's like, I'll do 75 all day.
Right.
Like, why am I going to come in at 60 or 70 and mess it up?
Exactly.
Like, hey, are you available right now? I'll send the contract to you. Or we'll go over DocuSign.
Yep.
Or I'll meet you at Starbucks right now and we'll sign it.
And it goes into the $500 client versus the $50,000 client.
Yeah.
It's a completely different experience where the $50,000 client knows it's on them, where the
Yeah.
$500 client thinks you're going to change their life.
Yep.
And I learned this from Alan at the very beginning. He was like, I like dealing with people who have lots of money because these transactions don't mean much to them. And it's much easier to when, if it's this person who's only done 1 to 0 transactions in their entire life, and this is the first one, it is going to be a lot of hand-holding, a bunch of bullshit,
Yeah.
to where the other guy, like we said, I know what I'm doing. This is what I want.
Yeah.
You want to do this? Cool. Right? Like, we've bought from lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We give them our contract. All right. And it's on to the next.
Dude, it's some of the best deals I have ever done. Cheapest price I ever bought were from highly professional people. Right? They're in their 60s or in their 70s. They own a business or two. They may even own 10 or 20 rentals, which is just one property. They're just done with it. Right? They want the easiest, quickest thing ever because they know their time is worth more than the property.
Yes.
Right? Their headache, their stress, alleviating all that is worth more than getting an extra $10, $20, $30, $40,000. They're ready. They're ready to move on.
Compared to the family, to where, like, this one probate house is supposed to change their life, and it's worth $130,000, and there's 8 siblings.
Oh, my gosh. I've been there. I've been there. Not 8. I don't know. I think I've probably worked 5 or 6. You know, I've had probate deals where I've had an escrow for over a year, right? Because there's bickering back and forth, or there's this. Or
there's bickering.
There is 5 people, right? 5 heirs. One passed away, left 2 kids. They didn't go through probate. Now they have to go through probate. Someone else has liens on them, IRS lien. Now you got to deal with that. Dude.
Just madness. Real estate is that's what makes it hard to scale, like wholesaling, right? Because it's not repeatable.
Oh, yeah. Every deal is different.
Every deal is different. It's not repeatable to where, like, if we onboard a client and we train our people what to do, it's like a conveyor belt of something that's really repeatable, to where real estate is still a conveyor belt, but then we got infinite, like, different ways to go out and then come back into to go back into that conveyor belt.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. It really is. You know, sometimes I see interviews or hear interviews of, you know, real estate agent who's, you know, has a team of a couple agents and they're making like $1 million a year or two a year, and just thinking about like the level of problems and systems and stuff that they have versus us who wholesale and like what we have to go through. Like, it's vastly different, right?
Wholesale's easier, but then wholesale still comes with its own problems. But I wouldn't want to be an agent. I just think about that paperwork. For $1 million net income for the business, think about all of the headaches that would come with that as an agent.
Yeah. That's why you have transaction coordinators. I barely do any paperwork.
Really?
As an agent, yeah.
I've just heard everyone who I've talked to who's an agent and an investor, like, bro, I don't like being an agent. I don't want anything to do with it. It's there. It makes me money. But wholesale is faster, easier in some ways, and I make more money.
Yeah. It's true. I have a 2-page contract, and the average is like $16,000 a deal or something like that. I mean, it's vastly different. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's not comparable. I mean, the things that we do versus agents is very different.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, as an agent, it's just not even something they're experienced in, right? Because like when someone comes in to sell their house, like, oh yeah, they want to sell those houses. Yeah. Not these houses.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah. It makes me want to actually go after agents more and tell them, you know, you got fixer-uppers, bring them here.
Right, because they don't know what to do with them, and they don't make any money off of them either.
Yeah.
Like, most of the ones, like, let's say anywhere south of, like, McKinley, they aren't making a ton of money off of those.
No. I'm in escrow right now with an out-of-town agent. We put it in escrow last week. He has a client that is buying a house over on the coast, but they have this rental. They want to sell it. I mean, I got a really good price on it, off market, but working with an agent.
Why'd you start flipping?
Why did I start flipping?
Yeah.
Are you interviewing me now? Is that what's
I mean, I just wanted to know.
You know what? What happened was, before I went full-time in 2014, I was a project manager for a flipper here, doing 70 to 100 a year. And, I mean, so I was managing 12 at a time, 10 to 12 at a time, yeah. I mean, probably anywhere between $2 to $3 million of projects at a time was on my list. So, I mean, we'd buy at the auction, buy on the MLS. I mean, this was 2012 through 2014, so a little bit different than what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, so to me, I kind of saw even though we didn't have like these crazy elaborate systems, I mean, we ran everything off of like a shared Word file and Excel file, right? Like that's how we managed all those properties, and it worked for us. I mean, so I got to a point really quickly where I could look at pictures of a property and I could narrow down a rehab budget within like 5 minutes, within like $1,000 or $2,000.
Wow.
It could be a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 project. So it was just easy for me. So I think I started flipping in like 2018, maybe 2017, did a couple. But what I did was I just realized the most of my career in wholesaling, I was focused on fewer but better deals.
Yep.
Right, $20,000 wholesales, 15, 30, 50, right? So, because there were times where I would pick up volume, even on my own, start doing 8, 9, 10 a month, and I just didn't like it. Just so much volume. So, really, what I shrunk down my scale. I scaled down my volume, just picking the best that I wanted to pick, and having kids really brought that on. Because in 2016, I had twins. Into 2016, and realizing like I can't be on the phone all day. I can't be out on appointments all day, right? So I narrowed down my list of who I was marketing to, and I just picked the very best. Right? So I would do 1 to 3 deals a month, but they'd be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 wholesales, and then realizing like, dude, I could triple what I'm making by doing what I already know how to do, which is just call look at a property, create a bid sheet in a few minutes, and send it to a contractor. Hey, go give me this bid. And whatever $20,000, $30,000 project, and then bring in private money, and get it done. And really nice. Take a deal from $10,000 or $15,000 wholesale to like a $30,000 or $40,000 rehab.
And you don't need the cash, right? Like you're already established enough to where like everybody who gets in the wholesale like really wants the cash machine.
Mm-hmm.
To where now like I can wholesale it, or I can just wait a little bit. I'll flip it. Have bigger months, then you stack those bigger months with a couple at a time. And
actually, interestingly enough, when I get a property that I wholesale or hotel, I love hotel. My gosh, I love it so much. But what I do is I will wholesale it to myself.
Yep.
So I mean, it depends on.
You'll still make a little bit of cash and be like that. You don't need a ton of money to live life.
No.
Right, and then you have those big checks, and those big checks are really just there to invest in other things.
Yeah. So I'll throw on a management fee at the front end. $25,000 to $5,000, $2,500 to $5,000. Just pay me up front, basically reimburse my overhead. My overhead is just a couple grand a month anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if I can do that, then that just carries me over. If I don't get a deal,
right,
in between there, I'll be okay, right? So, I mean, I want more. I want more of everything. More wholesale, more hotel. Flips kind of up and down. As far as like a full rehab. I don't know if I want to take on more right now. Especially having another kid, 5 kids in the next 3 months. Number 5 is coming. So I'll reevaluate what I'm doing or what I want to do.
That's quite a bit. I have one, and then I see you walking with one of yours, and the next day I see you walking with the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other one. Yeah. But it changes priorities a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, kids change priorities a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I probably won't be in tomorrow. I was just thinking probably because Wednesdays and Fridays I take one of my daughters with me, but realizing in our small office is hard and it's loud, so I'll probably keep her at home while I make cold calls or something. Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this, just to kind of give perspective to people, if you don't mind saying, what was your best deal ever? The best deal that you ever did?
I made $49,500 on a virtual wholesale deal in Hanford.
Nice.
It was like close to my birthday last year, and so like my birthday's in like a week. It's on Monday, so in March last year.
Yeah.
Easiest transaction ever. Same thing. The guy was like, "Hey, I want this. I don't think it's the best property. Will you give me this?" And he told me it was really beaten up. I bought it over the phone without even knowing what it looked like. And I was like, "Well, it's just gonna." He's like, "I don't have any pictures, but it's really, really bad." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do this." And then I get there and I look inside and it was really nice.
Wow.
It's like, I mean, it needs to be cleaned up, but like, and maybe updated, but I'm looking at all this other Hanford stuff and it's like, oh, and I can throw this. If I wanted to throw it back on the market, I could have made like $80,000.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I just want a 60-day escrow so my grandson can move out. I was like, okay, no big deal. And then there we are.
Wow.
One of the easiest deals of my life.
Yeah. one of the easiest deals I ever had was a $50,000 deal too. I sent, I think like 450 postcards to a vacant list to this lady who owned a house here in Tower. She called me, and we were talking numbers, but she's like, you know, she has a family friend that's a young agent. She wants to just give him the listing. She's like, but I just went through probate on this farm out in Easton. So she gives me all the info on this farm, 15 acres with the house. I'm just like, I don't even know what to do. But she told me that this agriculture agent told her that she could list it for $350. He was calling her like every day, and she's like, I don't really want to deal with that. I don't want to put it on the market. I'll just take $300. And so I didn't want to tell her yes up front because I didn't want to lock her in and then come back and have to cancel. Right. So I took the info, took it over to a friend of mine, and was like, hey, what do you think about this deal? I've actually pulled comps. It looks like properties around this area, they're selling for X amount an acre. You know, I might wholesale this off for $350. What do you think? He looked at it, pulled some comps. He said, yeah, I'll buy it. Right there. So I sent her the contract, $300. Sent him the contract, $350. And it was like, boom.
That's a nice one.
That was very good.
Was it a land deal too?
Land?
Yeah, like was it just like straight land, no houses?
No, so it was, it was basically two parcels.
Okay.
So a house was on 2 acres, and then the other acreage was on like 12.47 acres or something like that. So she sold it together because they were like conjoined basically. Yeah, so it was really good. So I had considered buying it myself, but what he did was we sold off the acreage, and then he remodeled, and then we sold that house. So I ended up listing both of those properties after that, which was great. I mean, so total I ended up making like $65,000 off that one deal because it came back, you know, later as an agent for me to list it. So
that's nice.
A great deal.
That's a great deal. And so, I mean, I just think it's big that people understand you don't want to do more deals. You want to do better deals.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you can do more better deals, awesome.
More better, yeah.
Like more better deals, like a ton of deals that are $50,000, cool. But you don't want to just do more deals and be popping out $1,000. It's going to cost you $2,500 a pop.
Yeah.
Right, at least,
for sure.
I'd say, like throughout all these people. But yeah, more deals. Like Jason made as much money as I know. He made as much money personally, like net, as one of the biggest wholesalers in America.
Yeah.
Because Jason just did less deals, bigger deals, and it came from referrals.
Yeah.
He didn't have some
like
fat.
Half his deals come from referrals, right?
Like half of his deals. And that's no fat overhead, right? And so now what do I have? I have referrals, and then I have my own marketing paid for. And so I keep it all. That's instead of having to spend X amount of dollars, and then at the end of the day, you're taking home like 25% of $1 million. You're taking home $250.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
For a lot of moving parts that doesn't really equate to much.
Oh, yeah. I was there. Man, I hated the big overhead. I mean, I went from a couple grand a month to like $25,000 was my overhead. No matter if I brought in $1 or not, a deal or not, $25,000 was going out. And, you know, rent, overhead, fixed costs, group insurance, my employees, all that kind of stuff. Now, I mean, obviously my income matched it, but at the same time, it's like, it wasn't that profitable.
Right.
Right? I mean, I've got a lot coming in, but a lot going out.
Is that without market spend too?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of cash.
Yeah, I mean, once I pumped it up to like $20,000, $30,000 mailers a month, that really moved up that needle and expenses.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And mailers are a year-long investment.
Oh, yeah.
You're like 6 months to a year is what I personally
you got to send at least 6 campaigns to really figure out if something works or not. Right? I mean, to me, to understand like an average rate of return, you have to hit every season multiple times. Right? Because if you hit during Christmas, it may be different. If you hit back to school, it's going to suck. Right? It doesn't matter if you're hitting old people or not for some reason, just that time of the year. Beginning of the year, spring, summer, whatever, every season is going to be different. Every month is going to be different. Right? I mean, you hit, you know, between Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, Hanukkah, all that stuff, there's like 5 holidays within like a 30-day window. Right? That's vastly different. That's going to affect your rate.
Oh, yeah.
Completely.
But don't stop during the holidays.
No.
Don't stop during the holidays.
No.
Just understand it's going to be different, but you can't slow down your marketing.
It's always one of my best times of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
Always.
Other people slow down, but I try not to.
You see, so I don't think anybody really slows down because everybody says don't slow down. And I'm like, I don't know a single person who slows down during the holidays.
Yeah. I've heard of some, but I don't know.
Because like
Not any real players.
Right? Everyone I know who's like, oh, bro, no, the holidays are always awesome for me.
Double down.
Everybody needs Christmas money.
Yep. Yeah. And throw that in your marketing,
Right.
right? Send something in the beginning, December, middle, December. Just, hey, I will get you your money before Christmas. People like that.
Right? They like it, and it's convenient. They know if you say cash and everything else, they know your business model.
Yeah.
They know that, okay, I can get this, and the money's already spent.
For sure.
The money's already spent.
So going back to your company, Call Magicians. Say I'm an investor, and I am an investor, and I'm looking at hiring and scaling. What do you offer? What do your VAs do?
So we offer cold callers, texters, lead management, and then we're doing some admin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so our cold callers, we pay for the dialer. They get trained 2 times a day culturally. So I want them to know what's going on in America. So if any conversation goes sideways, they can somewhat know what's going on, right? So culturally, and then they get sales coach and role play every day too.
Yeah.
Then our leads managers, they're fully trained. They know how to talk to all your leads, how to, what's it called? Just take the conversation from start to finish and qualify them, and then bring it to you.
Good.
And then we have our texters, and that's pretty straightforward. They text, and then if you want them to call and qualify that texting lead, they can do that.
Okay.
And then admin work is admin work.
Yeah. Do you guys supply the list, or is that for the investor to supply?
We can, if you want us to, but one thing I've seen is that people hold that stuff very close to their chest.
For sure.
Right, so we have a skip tracing company, and then if you want us to, we can get something from PropStream and pull it for you. I think PropStream or List Source is the way to pull it.
Oh, totally.
Property Radar is good too, but then they just cap out how much you can pull.
Yeah. I use PropStream every day, every single day. Yep. That's awesome. Let's see. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you to maybe have a conversation about, see if Call Magicians would work for them, what's the best way?
The best way to get a hold of me is Instagram, @StratDaddy, with 2 T's and 2 Y's. If you guys want more info about Call Magicians, go to callmagicians.com and just sign up for a strategy call.
Yeah. I'll put that link in the description too. I'll put it down there for you.
Yeah, and you should have your own link.
Oh, yeah, I do. That's the link I'm talking about. I'll put my link down there. Someone will sign up one day. Yeah. Okay. Well, anything you want to tell anybody? Any questions you have?
Don't quit. Way too many people quit. There's, a handful of us in this Fresno market, and I'd say one new person comes in every other year because all the other people quit, and there's 1 million people in our county, and I think Michael's the last new person who came into our market. Like
came in as a beginner, started doing deals, and still here.
And it's still here.
After like 1.5 years or 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
That's pretty accurate.
So don't quit, and I promise you it's going to get so much worse at the beginning. Yeah, like, if you think your life is going to get easier, wait till you have overhead, and wait till, deals don't come in for, 3 months, and then you're, still taking these strokes, and, all that other stuff happens. But it's a part of it. It's your journey, but never, ever, ever quit.
For sure. I love that. I'm not quitting either. Dude, this industry has some crazy ups and downs, but, it's always worth it.
Right.
It's worth it.
Well, you gotta take the lumps because you're gonna have the downs, and don't let anybody tell you that there's not gonna be downs, bro.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have downs. You're gonna have low months. It's business, man. There's ebbs and flows, but I promise you, it's worth it.
Yes, it is. It's not just Instagram checks. I think a lot of people see that. They see people posting the $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 checks, and they're just like, "Oh, this is wholesaling, right? This is how it's gonna be." But once you get into the weeds, it can be rough. It's a simple business, but it can be hard.
Oh yeah. Sure. And you can't get discouraged by seeing everyone else's checks on Instagram, right? Well, on Facebook, everybody posts them, because more times than not, you're never gonna see that person post another check again.
Oftentimes, no.
Don't be that person. Mm-hmm. Keep on pushing, and don't spend it on new car, new shoes. Take it all, put it into marketing, and don't quit your 9 to 5 too early.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's something that. I don't regret, but looking back to when I went full time, I would have been in a way better position had I just kept my job.
This guy, same thing.
Right. Because I was working 9 to 5, well, really 8 to 5, but I'd get to my office at 7 and prepare for my day. Right. Every break I had, every lunch break, I'd be on the phone. Clock out at 5. I'd either be out on appointments, or I'd be on the phone, or I'd be hanging bandit signs until midnight. Right. I put up a couple hundred a week, and having a full time job, I started doing 3-4 a month. Which is crazy, But when I quit and went full time, that dropped, right? Because now all of a sudden I had so much time.
You don't know what to do. You don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
And then like the push goes away.
Yes, it does.
And my biggest thing is like you think you're gonna start a business without any seed capital.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like I know I'm gonna quit my job, go all in. You have no savings, like this stupid guy, right? And then it's like, oh god damn, what am I gonna do for my marketing spend?
Yeah, yeah. Because now, I mean, you go from like your job pays for your living and your housing and all that, to now then all of a sudden you depend on deals, right? So you close a deal, and instead of putting that back into the business, you're like, shoot, I got
spent.
kids to feed, right?
It's spent.
Yeah.
It's all spent.
Yeah.
And I've been there.
Totally.
I've been there. Like, so there's just month and money and they even out. And it's like, well, we did deals.
Yep.
We did do deals, I guess.
Sure. All right, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Guys, follow Strat. Like this video, subscribe. Probably have you on again. Really appreciate you coming out, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Take care.